All right, the double bind. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. The member is put in a catch-22 type situation. They are induced to either comply with the group and betray themselves or dissent and be condemned by the group. You've talked about a few contradictions that in the community you have to grapple with.
I was fully convinced that trans is a thing that you are born. And this is another one of those language games where activists don't really say born in the wrong body anymore, but that is still literally what they mean. When they talk about trans, it's still they were born in the wrong body. You have the wrong brain, quote unquote, or your brain is female or male, and then it's the rest of your body that's, I don't know, quote unquote, wrong. It is still a wrong body narrative, but they don't want you to say born in the wrong body anymore because no body is wrong. But they'll say
I see.
nobody is.
Okay.
They'll say that no body is wrong, and that trans women can have penises, but also at the same time, Medicaid has to fund getting rid of those penises because some people don't want it. Like, it's a lot of contradictions, basically. That's another sort of contradiction that I experienced throughout transitioning, was that there was this simultaneously I wanted to fit in and belong and be like everyone else. And at the exact same time, knowing that if I was transitioning, I was always going to be different. And the reason I was transitioning is because I was already different and I had never fit in anywhere in my life. And then later on down the road, when I started dyeing my hair, I think that was another sort of thing where I was like, I'm different from everyone and I'm okay with that. And yeah, so it was a little bit of both.
It doesn't seem like there's any consistent right way to be. Which of these you feel made the most impact?
It's hard to say. There are really a lot of contradictions in gender ideology, like particularly the ones about a man can look like anything or a female or a woman can look like anything. But even though they can look like anything, there's also like this impetus to move people towards medical transition because they need it, because it's life-saving. But if a man or a woman can look like whatever, then they shouldn't need to have to medicalize themselves and change their bodies.
I'm going to a trans surgeon for the first time next week for a consult. And I've had to, every day I've been asking myself, I'm like, okay, who are you doing? Are you doing this for yourself or are you doing this for other people? And it's been for myself, but I have to even make sure that I'm not getting anything done that is because it is the standard of like what a woman is. And I even like, I hope that we can get to a place, my hope for the future is that we can get to a place where trans people don't feel like they have to change a thing about them to be trans, or they don't have to take the hormones if they don't want. They are a woman if they say they're a woman. They're a man if they say they're a man. Non-binary if they say they're non-binary. We believe people. We trust them. We lift them up. And yet I hope for that future, but we're not there yet. And so I have to make sure that I'm not just conforming to this binary.
Same.
And I even am scared. I'm like, oh, what if we do get to that place one day? And I'm scared about, or, I do all these things now and then one day I might regret it. I don't want to live in that place because I want them now. And it feels like these are things that I've been sitting with for a long time. So I'm going to do them because it feels right. And we can't, as much as we can hope for the future, I can't look into 30 years from now and see who Dylan might be one day and like consider their opinion, because I have to live this life now in this body. So I want to serve it and I want to give it what it needs.
The one I brought up earlier was about like how other people react to seeing transphobia, for example. So there's those people who you're expected to both be the savior of the group, but also you're not supposed to be a savior of the group at the same time because they don't actually need you because it's infantilizing. So yeah.
From the outsider, I think when you look at documentaries like What is a Woman, it seems to be so filled with contradictions when he's talking with the affirmative care therapists and doctors.
I don't know if you've ever heard of people in the trans-abled community. These are people who are physically able-bodied but feel like they should be disabled or identify as such.
There are others who have a feeling that their genitals are not a part of their proper part of their body integrity dysphoria.
For example, a man who has two arms but feels like he should have one if a man in this kind of marginalized community went to the doctor and said, I want to have my arm cut off, do you think that
doesn't have anything to do with gender identity?
This is in the SOC 8. It's also in ICD 11. It's classification 621 or 6C21. So it's there in the ICD as well as the standards of care.
well, it's so someone's self-identity, how someone identifies?
That's someone who has and I'll accept it as a mental diagnosis, a psychiatric condition. I don't even pretend to know what aptomenophilia is all about, but somehow it's the idea that you're fascinated or charmed by having a limb or part of a limb missing. Okay, I would say that's, pardon my non-medical language, kooky.
They desire to be not male, to be emasculated, but don't want to be female either. They have a male to eunuch gender dysphoria, now part of the SOC 8.
You don't see any? You think this is totally irrelevant?
Yep.
But I am the first trans feminine person to be elected president of WPATH in its 43-year history.
I don't know if you've seen that documentary,
I have.
but it's those contradictions that from the outside make it harder for people to take this thing seriously, but it has such power in terms of social consequences and how it's being incorporated into HR departments and corporate policy and governance. So people tend to just go along and not want to point out these contradictions, because if you point them out, then you're going to be branded a hateful bigot. So it's tough, because that's its own type of catch-22, where you want to say the truth, but the consequences are going to be so bad that you end up having to not tell the truth and either go along with a lie or silence your own voice just to be accepted by the group that you now know is all ready to pounce on you the moment you dissent. It's a precarious place to be in. All right, so how powerful or strong or present was the double bind in your experience?
Intense.